Here we are again. It's June 6th. That's a big day in this country. Why? Why, Jude? Why is it a big day? It's my oldest brother's birthday. Tom, happy birthday, AKA Saint Tom. That's what we called him because to my mother, he was the first. He was the sainted. Give me a break. Okay, welcome back to Boozin with Jude, which I'm dedicating to my brother, Saint Tom. Whether or not he likes the drink we're going to do today, hey, too bad. We're going to do the whiskey sour. We're going back to the basics again. It's a classic drink. Just a little bit about my brother and my family, because I know you're dying to know. I know you're dying to know. So he's my oldest brother. I have 4 older brothers. I've told you that before. And my mom said, well, we kept trying and trying because we wanted a girl. Frankly, I think I was an accident. But by the time they got to me, you know, it came down to baptism. I think they were running out of people to be godparents. So my eldest brother is also my godfather, which is great because my mom said whenever I needed anything, like if I was down and out, homeless in the gutter, or in debt up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, that I could ask my godfather and that would be his responsibility. So I'll be coming back to you, Tom, just to let you know. So baptism day comes around, and the person that they picked for my godmother, I don't remember her because she died when I was quite young, but the story goes that she was a little late and they had to go collect her because she was maybe in her cups a little bit. I think she sort of, much like me, she sort of liked her alcohol, but unfortunately she liked it a little too much. So my godparents. But anyways, this is about my brother. Happy birthday. We're going to make you the whiskey sour. Back to basics. Now, first thing I'm going to say is, you know, if you go into these upmarket stores, alcohol stores, you could spend hours and hours looking at the different sorts of alcohols and mixers. Mixers create, who knows what this stuff is, right? They started out with basics. Cocktails were basics. They were a spirit, they were a citrus and a sweet and in a glass, right? That's what it was. And then people wanted to add a twist here and a twist there. Some were great and some sucked, you know? And then all of a sudden, we've got complicated drinks that have names that I'm too embarrassed to use, so I'm never going to even order one. But I think people are going back to the basics now. If you look at the top 50 drinks in the past couple of years, number 1 comes up, it's the old-fashioned, you know, basic drink. So today is a basic drink, the whiskey sour. And just a little note, by the way, you can make it with vodka. So I'm not going to do an episode on the vodka sour because it's the same thing. Just substitute your favorite spirit, vodka with whiskey, or whiskey with vodka, or, you know, whatever else you want to make it with, brandy sour, blah, blah, blah. Now, let's talk about the history of the whiskey sour. First written down in like 1860, 1862 in some famous bartender's guide. I don't know. I don't read that stuff. But we know that this drink, and it's in some form or other, goes back even more than that, like 100 years more. It was like medicinal. And this time I think we have to give some credit to our friends, the Brits, the English specifically. So what happened? Back in the 18th century, you know, sailors were coming over, big ships were coming over because, you know, everybody wanted to be in America. Why wouldn't they? I don't understand why anybody would want to be here. So they were coming over, and it took months, maybe years, maybe centuries to get here on a ship. You know, it wasn't like you leave today, you're there tomorrow. Not like, you know, modern travel. And so things like food and water, potable water, they didn't last long enough. They got a little contaminated, people got sick. And so sailors were given rations of spirits, actually, to help, you know, so they wouldn't, you know, get contaminated with the germy water so much. Imagine that. Ooh, we don't want you to drink water. We want you to drink alcohol. Well, they didn't want a bunch of drunk people. And they also had something called scurvy. Now, scurvy, that's a disgusting name. Yes, it is. And it's a disgusting disease. And a lot of English sailors, unfortunately, came down with scurvy, which is a result of a lack of vitamin C. So what they did is they gave them a supply of rations of citrus, limes, lemons, and also that, you know, booze. And for those sailors coming over, it was probably gin, maybe brandy, maybe rum. And so some outstanding man to whom we owe huge levels of gratitude, who was a vice admiral in the English Army, came up with the idea of asking this, or of having the booze watered down a little bit with the citrus. So they would get their supply of citrus so they wouldn't get scurvy, which, you know, results in bleedings of the gum and bleeding everywhere else, and, you know, death. It's not a pretty disease. And so they mixed that together. And when the sailors got to America, they sort of thought, hey, we have this drink we kind of like. It's basically, it's got a sour, a little sweet in it, and it's booze. And they brought it on land, and Americans, being Americans, said, well, this isn't bad, but we want to substitute your gin or your brandy or your rum with our favorite spirit, good old bourbon whiskey. Thus was born the whiskey sour. So thank you, England. Thank you, Vice Admiral. What's your name? Good job. It's basically 3 elements, but I'm going to put in a 4th. So it comes with whiskey, and then since it's a whiskey sour, we're going to have more sour in the form of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice, people, and a little sweet, a little less sweet in the form of simple syrup, which is, as you know, half or equal parts sugar and water warmed up until it's like a syrup or a syrup. And I'm going to add the 4th element, which in some restaurants and bars you'll get it, and some you won't, and that's an egg white. Jude, what? Egg white? Huh? Won't we get sick? Won't we get salmonella? Well, you could. You probably won't. So if you're worried about it, don't use the egg white. But here's the deal. If you're elderly, if you have immunodeficiency or, you know, underlying diseases, or, you know, if you're under 5 years old, you're more vulnerable. Well, okay. Are we giving a drink to the 5-year-old? I certainly hope not. I mean, I didn't get a whiskey sour when I was 5, just saying. But you can skip the egg. What the egg white does is it makes it actually frothy, creamier. You don't taste it, and it makes it a pretty drink. I like it with the egg white in it. Some people do a whole egg. I don't use the yolk. But if your eggs are cold, 45 degrees or lower, that's in Fahrenheit, fans. If you take out the egg white and you try to be careful to not let it touch the outside of the shell, get a pasteurized egg, should be okay, but you can do it without. Today I'm going to do it with. So, and we're going to make it a little differently than we've made some of our drinks. First of all, let's talk about our whiskey. We're going to use Bulleit bourbon, B-U-L-L-E-I-T. Good old Kentucky bourbon, Louisville, Kentucky. It's an old one. It's been around for a while. Now, here's the deal with Bulleit, B-U-L-L-E-I-T. Somebody once asked Mr. Bulleit 100 years ago or so, how do you pronounce that? And he said, like the ammunition, son. Bulleit, not bully it. It's like the ammunition, son. Bulleit. So we're going to use Bulleit, which is a good bourbon. Again, you know I'm not like a connoisseur of bourbon, but you can see I tried it. I quite like it. Okay, we're going to use 2 ounces of that. We're going to use 1 ounce of lemon juice, freshly squeezed, and we're going to use a ½ ounce of simple syrup, and then I'm just going to throw in an egg white, and we're going to do 2 different things here. We're going to do what's called a dry shake. First, we're going to shake it on ice, really hard and vigorous, because we want to break down that egg white protein. Then we're going to put it in without ice into another shaker and dry shake it so that it'll come out really nice and creamy and pretty. Most people dry shake it first and then put in the ice, but actually if you want to really froth it up, you do it the way I'm going to do it. So let's go with it. I'm going to make it in a coupe glass up. You can get it on the rocks. I like it this way. It's prettier. Hey, your choice, to each their own. So I'll put my little glass out there. I'm first going to take my stainless steel cold shaker. One day I'm going to get tongs so this isn't so crass. And by the way, I can't find my measurers, my liquor measures. They've disappeared. Somebody stole them. Maybe somebody's a little worried about what's going on in here. I don't know. There's nobody else in here except for Max, who's laying down on the floor, dead to the world because she dragged me around the lake today in a walk, and I'm exhausted. Okay, so I have to use my jigger, which is 2 ounce. That's the top of the thing. This happens to be 2 ounces, so we're happy with that. And so the rest I'll just have to fake. So this is 2 ounces of Bulleit, like the ammunition, son, going into here. I'm going to give it a good 2 ounces. Okay. Now we're using more sour than sweet. You can switch this up if you want, but it is a whiskey sour and you want it to taste sour. So we're gonna do 1 ounce. So I'm gonna do like a half of this with my freshly squeezed lemon juice. And the reason obviously that there's more sweet than, or more sour than sweet is because you want to taste that sour. If you don't like it to be that tart, you know, add a little less, add a little more sweet, do equal parts, it's up to you. But I personally love the whiskey sour being sour, it's refreshing. So I'm gonna do about 3/4 of an ounce, half to 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. And there it goes. And finally, I already did it because I didn't want to like do this in front of you, like the egg white, because sometimes I don't do it right and the yolk gets in there. You know, whenever I tried to bake, I don't bake anymore. You know, and you're trying to do meringue, you do one little bit of yolk in it just never meringues up. So I didn't want you to see me messing with the egg. So I did it in advance. And there it goes in there. Ew, it looks disgusting. But you know what? It isn't. It's great. So we got to really vigorously shake this first. I'm going to leave my coupe glass in there with the ice. Keep it cold while I'm shaking. I noticed that you can't like really hear me when I'm shaking, so maybe I just won't talk. And you can watch me shake. Max is like, what? What's going on, dude? I got a little leak here. I think it's time to buy some new bar TV equipment. Yeah, this baby's leaking. We don't like that. Okay, I can't shake anymore. My arms are tired from somebody pulling me around the lake today. So that's our wet shake. Don't like the leaking. Don't like wasting anything. And we're gonna put it into, we're gonna strain it into a dry shaker so that we can have that foam in there, okay? And there we go. Put that over there. Get that out of the way. And now we're gonna dry shake. I hope that this one doesn't leak. You wanna do it really good because again, you know how egg whites are, they're kind of gross looking. You don't want any kind of like gooey glob going into your drinks. You really got to shake it and get those proteins broken up. If you're not going to put an egg in it, guess what? You're already drinking it by now and laughing at the rest of us. It's not really that hard unless you have a dog that pulls your arms out of your socket. Okay, that looks pretty creamy. That looks like a milkshake, Jude. Yeah, and it's good. It's a good milkshake. Okay, so we're going to take the coupe glass out. Whew. And I'm going to strain this baby out. See, this is the problem I have is getting the top off of this one. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing if I can't get this off. I can't get it off and it's got to come off. We're going to use my Jolly Roger thing, see if that'll help. Okay, this is so embarrassing. Jude, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to sit here and talk to you while I try to get the top off. This happened once before. I'm going to put you on pause a second, folks, and I'll be right back while I try to get the top off. And it's a Christmas miracle. There it is. Wow, that was embarrassing. Okay, so let's strain the drink. We actually don't want to strain the drink, do we? Come to think of it. I got so discombobulated with that top knot coming off. But see, that's what you don't want to strain it out of the dry shake. What are you talking about, Jude? Come on. Have you been drinking? No. Okay, now, garnish. I have what's called a, what do they call that? I don't know. It's basically a lemon and a cherry. It's called like a, I'm going to call it angel's wings. I don't know. Now, let's talk about that garnish. I had a few people talk to me about the cherry, the maraschino cherry. Why don't you use Luxardo cherries? Okay, Luxardo cherries are magnificent. They're outstanding. They're dark cherries. They're just like $17 a bottle. That's why I don't use them. I mean, look, it's a garnish. I love Luxardo cherries, but I can't afford it. I could buy a bottle of booze with that, couldn't I? Yes, I could. Yes, I could. So I don't use them. If you want to use them, God love you. I just put a little lemon and a little regular candied maraschino cherry in there. And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that little cock up there with the cover. I just think I'm getting weak. But this is the whiskey sour. We're hearkening back. We're going to dedicate it to my brother, St. Tom, on his birthday. to the English sailors who were trying to avoid scurvy, and God love you, anybody else who needs a drink today. Happy birthday, Tom. Salute.